right, welcome. It's Wednesday to another episode of Inside Gateway. Today we have Miss Zimmy, or Kristin Zimmerman. What do you do at the school?
I'm the Dean of Students.
Okay, explain that to somebody that doesn't necessarily live here or know what that is.
Yeah, I wish it had like a very concise definition to it, but my typical day is I don't even know. I focus mainly on the discipline/therapeutic side
Okay.
of the school. I do a lot of state reports. I sometimes play school nurse, school librarian. When there's new kids coming in, I meet with them and I get their initial paperwork
Okay.
started and all of that. So it kind of just changes day by day, and depending on student behaviors, it may take a turn that I wasn't expecting.
Yeah. So how long have you been in this role?
Good question. I think it's been maybe 5 years,
Okay.
around 5 years.
And then before that, what were you doing?
I was the science teacher.
Okay.
I came out here in 2007
Okay.
and was a science teacher for the first few years.
So how has that helped shape your position as the Dean of Students, already having taught in a classroom?
It just made me more familiar with kind of how the school ran, kind of expectations and all of that. I actually still do teach one class a quarter, so I still get to be in the classroom, which I did find I missed that a lot
Yeah.
when I moved to the Dean of Students, but I still get a taste of teaching. And yeah, it was just beneficial because I actually found I was more passionate about the therapeutic side of what we do here at the school.
Very good. So, on the cuff, what is the mission statement of the school?
Well, it is to inspire learning, provide a Christian education, kind of just, and to ultimately follow Gateway Woods' mission.
Yeah. Good. Yeah, and so whether you're in the classroom, whether you're in your little circle hub, I like to call it,
Yeah.
In the center of the school, the heartbeat is Miss Zimmy. You can live out that mission, right? And so that's what's exciting. So it doesn't matter if you're in the classroom or you're in the Dean of Students, you feel like you're being used, right?
Right.
And that's important because I think at any kind of job like this, if we don't feel value or we don't feel like we're being needed, then we can get discouraged.
Mm-hmm.
So, good. I'm glad to hear that. So, do the math, so like 12 years? Is that?
11 and a half years.
Okay, 11 and a half.
Yeah.
Wow. So, what's next? Are you going to keep going? Like, what? Tell us.
That's a good question too. I don't know. I don't know what's next. I kind of like my position. I like the variety that each day provides. I like still being able to teach, but still doing some administrative work. So, yeah, I'm not really for sure, but I don't plan on necessarily leaving anytime soon.
Good.
But who knows?
So, as always, if you have questions in the field, please chime in, and otherwise we'll keep moving. So tell us about the plays, because that's a highlight for a lot of the students. Maybe they don't know about it when they come in this part of the year, but when do you start planning that, and kind of what is the way to prep the kids? And even also, how do you get your material?
Right. In the spring, so the fourth quarter, I teach a theater class, and that theater class ends up being part of the school play.
Okay.
Usually in January or February, I start looking through different scripts, different plays that we could do. I pay attention to how many kids are needed for the play, as since we're a smaller school, I have a smaller class, so choosing a smaller play. I usually end up choosing a comedy, just because those are usually more fun to direct, and also for kids who are getting their first time experience. Being in a play, it's a little easier, I think, to pull off than something more serious.
Right.
And then I kind of just get an idea of what kids could possibly be here during that time, with just students coming and going. You never really know who will be here. And I just end up choosing a play. I ask students ahead of time, like, hey, I would really like you to be part of theater class. I'd really like you to be part of the play. Of course, they can turn me down. but I try and really encourage them
Yeah.
to be part of it. I feel like most of them end up having a really good experience and really glad that they did it. And then in the middle of May, we usually have a play.
Very good. So, do you have a certain place that you always get your material, or is there a couple different resources you look into?
I have been getting my scripts through Pioneer Drama.
Okay.
They have been really good to work with. So I just continue giving them my business.
Nice. So is it kind of like a licensing fee, or how does that work with the script?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you pay for the scripts, and then you
Okay.
also pay to perform the
Okay.
play.
And do you have flexibility to adjust it, or is it you have to letter it by the law?
You pretty much have to
Okay.
follow it exactly, especially with lines. I sometimes like to throw in maybe a coworker's name
Sure.
to kind of get an extra laugh.
Yeah. Personalize it, I guess
Yes,
is the word.
yeah.
Good. So, thinking back, what has been your favorite play that, because you're usually in it, right? You
Yes,
have
yeah.
a cameo or a large part. So which one was your favorite to direct or be in, or kind of both?
Each one kind of provides its own things that you like and you don't like about it, whether it's the play or it's the students you work with. I would say this was many years ago. The play was Foibles and Folly, and the one role that needed to be filled as the role that I usually end up filling, and
Yeah.
it was a lady who had a Russian accent, wore a swimming inner tube, and
Oh,
sang
wow.
opera. That was really fun to act. That was probably my favorite one for me personally of acting. But all the other ones, yeah, they've all had their little things about them that I've really enjoyed, and I
Sure.
keep doing it every year. So
Well, that's great. You do a great job.
Yeah,
and
thanks.
For somebody that has gone to a few of them, I haven't been able to go to all of them, as a house parent or just as a bystander. I enjoy it, and it seems like everybody, there's just a buzz and an energy there that night.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
it's great to see the support that we get from
Yeah.
people outside of Gateway, like at the church members who come, and
Yeah.
even caseworkers and probation officers will come as well.
Yeah, and the families of the kids.
Yes, and the families.
Usually
Mhm.
support very well. So, can you give us a taste of that Russian accent? You don't have to sing.
Oh,
but-
I don't. I just remember it was written and all the W's were V's
Okay.
and all the TH's were Z's.
Okay.
So, I don't know. Give me a line that I could say. Let's see. That was very funny.
Very good. Very good. Yeah, accents are always fun, even if we butcher them. It's just fun to.
Yeah.
listen to. Very good. So, what has been kind of one of the funniest memories, just whether it's in the play or just in the school, that kind of gets you excited? Because I think a lot of times when you're working with a lot of trouble, whether it's kids or just maybe even the bureaucracy of the state or whatever, it's just discouraging. So what's something that you always kind of can fall back on that just makes you laugh or makes you smile?
I actually, when I was teaching full-time here, I kept a quote book
Oh, okay.
of different quotes that students would say, or words that they would kind of mix up, or just random things that they
Yeah.
would say. And I was actually looking at that quote book the other day, because that just, reading through it and remembering the kids who said it, just always kind of floods me with good memories, and thinking back to being full-time in the classroom, where you can sometimes even get a better relationship with the kids. It was just, yeah, I'm glad I started that little book.
Yeah.
And even like some of the quotes, they're not really funny to other people,
Sure.
but it's more if you know the student,
Mhm.
and you kind of think back on the situation.
Yeah, it's just amazing when we're house parents, even just parenting my own children, just the little nuances that they do, and it just becomes quirks, and you notice it, and it's funny to you.
Yeah.
It can be annoying at times, but
Yeah.
then looking back, that's what makes it funny, and just an inside joke that you can interact with. So my wife and I, we have tons of those, and it's just nobody else would probably think it's funny, but we can make each other laugh on cue because of little things like that. And so that's really special when you have that relationship and you can kind of both laugh about it. And so, very good. Any comments or questions?
Betsy Schrank says hello from St. Charles, Mo. I don't know if you know her at all.
Hello, Betsy. Very good. So, when you came out 11 and a half years ago, was that fresh out of college, or had you taught somewhere else before?
No, that was fresh out of college.
Okay. So your only teaching is
At Gateway.
Okay. Good. So obviously we have teaching needs.
Yes, we do.
Math and English. If somebody's thinking and praying about that, how would you encourage them? Because I think a lot of times when you're maybe going through college, was Gateway even kind of on your radar? No. Okay. Because you probably interned, right?
I student taught. Yeah, I student taught. I thought I would always live. I grew up in Gridley, Illinois.
Sure.
I thought I would always live in Gridley, Illinois. But it was towards the end of my student teaching, one of my roommates, Nicole Dreyer, was like, "Hey, I'm going out to Gateway to volunteer. You want to come?" And she had asked me this already the previous year, and I had told her no. Like, that's out of my comfort zone. Why would I do that? So then she had asked me again, and for some reason I was like, well, let me think about it. And during that time, I learned that they had 3 teaching positions open at the time.
Wow.
So when I came out to volunteer is when I also applied. And I guess what I would say to anybody who has their teaching degree and is maybe searching for a job, don't necessarily disqualify yourself thinking, oh, I don't know if I could be a good math teacher or a good English teacher, or I'm not even qualified to teach math, because I started out as a science teacher and I didn't like science. I didn't want to be this. I told them English would be my first choice, social studies second, science would be my last choice.
Okay.
And they offered me science.
Nice.
But I love science now.
Yeah.
And so don't disqualify yourself and think, oh, or I couldn't handle situations that they face. Because it's really a great opportunity, and it's even a great way to get your foot in the door for teaching, or for even spending the next 10 years or 11 and a half years of your life here.
Very good.
Yeah,
and I think sometimes maybe a roadblock or a speed bump is like, I don't know dealing with these kids, but you're going to have issues wherever school that you're at, whatever age. And what's beautiful here is it is very structured, it's very controlled, where if you go to a public school setting, I substitute taught, and I was taught at a kind of a public school setting, and then also like more of a Christian school, so similar to Gateway, and it's completely different. And when you have different expectations, different structure, it's just easier on the teacher.
And you have a lot of support with other staff members.
Yeah. Good. And it's the expectation here is it's a therapeutic environment in the learning spectrum, where public school, it's like more of a learning, not necessarily therapeutic. So but good. So we need you. Okay, so you answered my other question of what kind of brought you out, your first exposure. Was that your first exposure to Gateway Woods?
I had been to the auction a couple times, but I didn't really know anything besides, oh, we go out here, buy some stuff, and go back home type of thing.
So Gridley, obviously, with the auction, we have Clark Stoller as a big proponent. So he was probably an exposure, or what brought you out to the auction?
Just some friends.
Okay.
Some friends were going, and I was like, sure.
Yeah.
I'll go along.
Very good. Okay, so what is one thing that you just really don't like about your job? We all have one, maybe a couple things. So.
I would say sometimes it can just be frustrating when you're trying to help a student and they're just not wanting the help, even though they say they do, and just kind of that battle of giving it up to God instead of you trying to constantly control it or make them understand what you're trying to say.
Sure,
you just sometimes have to let it go.
Yeah. No, I can see that. So for the school, is there a theme for the school year this year?
There is not, actually.
Okay. So what is a prayer? Obviously the teachers, but how can we pray for the school this year?
I would say with just needing a full-time math and English teacher, it's provided some extra stress on the teachers and myself and the director of education. And so just praying that we can have extra patience throughout the year, praying that the right people will come and fill those positions would be the main focus right now.
Okay, very good. Yeah, we would definitely be praying, and hopefully others will join us in that prayer. Is there anything else you'd like to add? Just a thanksgiving for the support that we get. Just let's, I guess, rewind that a little bit. Do you feel that when you moved out, like your family supported you in that process, and, or was it a little difficult in the beginning?
Yeah, no, they definitely supported me, but it was difficult just moving 4.5 hours away, not knowing anybody. But Gateway at that time kind of became like my family.
Sure.
I have a lot of close friendships because of Gateway. So they definitely supported me being out here.
Good. Yeah, I think if you look in the history of Gateway Woods, so many people coming from so many different areas, but it is a community, and we do stick pretty close together, whether you're still at Gateway Woods or even past house parents, past teachers.
Yeah.
There's that common bond. A lot of times my wife, a nurse, gets around other nurses, they speak their own language. And so likewise in Gateway, we kind of can do the same thing, because it's a unique experience, and not everybody can really understand that unless you've been involved in one shape or form. So I've enjoyed this chat. Hopefully you have a good rest of the day, and
thank you.
we could get some teachers soon. So I think next week we are going to talk to Laura Steffen, who is going to be here, I don't know how long. Hopefully she's filling in for English. She was a teacher before, so I'm excited to hear kind of her perspective. And that'll be next Wednesday at 12:30, so join us.